East Coast Horror Group.
They're here.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
East Coast Horror Group presents Dead On Movie Reviews.
Salutations and mutilations! You're listening to the East Coast Horror Group presents Dead On Movie Reviews. Tonight, we will present horror movie reviews and lively debate here on EastCoastHorrorGroup.com and on future select Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can join our live chat at the time by clicking on live shows link on the EastCoastHorrorGroup.com website. I'm your host, Tim Kretschmann, coming to you from the east coast of Lake Michigan. It's my honor to introduce the Faculty of Fear panel presenting tonight's lectures. And we will start with our special guest host, Adam Holtzoffel. He is also known as the Taco King, but he isn't bragging. He actually is the Taco King. He's also writing a lot of the great articles and content that you've been enjoying on our EastCoastHorrorGroup.com website. And tonight he's here on Dead On Movie Reviews. Hello, Adam.
Hey, Tim. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here tonight. Also on the line, I'll introduce our gingerific co-host that prefers to go by the name Little Baby Drew Face Poos Poos Seidler. It's Drew. How you doing there, Drew?
Hi, Tim.
And we have a special guest tonight. We have a fifth panelist, and he goes by the Love Sack or the Meat. He's the man, the myth, the legend. He is the walking embodiment of terror and fear. He intimidates all that he stands before. He is Rich Del Zotto!
Hello!
And the crowd goes wild.
What an introduction, bro. Hello!
Oh,
I do that for Mike.
Thanks for putting some thought into it, Rich. The band they call the Face of Jace, and a sincere zombie apologist. It's the man of two voices. He is Coach Michael Exler.
Tim, I find it funny that every show that you say that you're honored to introduce the Faculty of Fear. Why honored? Why do you use that term?
I'll tell you why. That's what I wrote the first time, and I just keep reading it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Did you know, by the way, that
I didn't.
Mike is known for having sung a song one time?
Doesn't even sound like my voice.
It doesn't. No, actually, I do have your song here. Do you want to hear it?
What is
Everybody want to hear his song? I think
Yes.
everybody wants to hear it. Here it is. I got to turn it up. Here we go.
Red box. Put it in your butt box.
it? That is me singing. Back me.
Red box, put it in your butt.
Box. That's it.
That's right.
It's beautiful. Drew, you have this one.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's yours. So, do I have another? Mike is singing something. Let me see what this is. Okay.
Throwing down a baby down a little tiny well.
Why is the well so tiny? Just throw
One
him down a
of my
normal size
favorites.
well, dude.
Yes, we have many great moments of Dead On Movie Reviews. But hey, we got 5 panelists tonight, so we have a lot of reviews to go through. And I guess that is the best way to say it, to kind of go through. We're going to get through these all. I'm trying to decide who we're going to go with first. Rich, are you still available right now?
I am.
Should I start with you then?
Sure.
Well, here we go. Rich, what have you been watching? Oh, wait, hold on. I got a new theme for you. There we go. All right. The man, the myth, the legend, the meat, the love sack, Rich Delzato. What have you been watching?
Gang.
Hello.
Sack.
Woohoo!
So, are you ready for my review?
I'm ready for your review more than you can possibly imagine.
All right. So, went and saw Glass this past weekend, so thought it might be relevant. I'm gonna try to review this with a broad stroke because I know
Wait, you
many
saw
people.
Sunglasses?
Yes.
You saw sunglasses? Okay.
Yes. But I'm gonna try to just kind of. I don't want to get into too much detail because I know it's only been out for 2 weeks, and a lot of people may be looking forward to seeing this. And as we know, a M. Night Shyamalan movie always has twists, and it certainly would be unfortunate for me to give those away.
It also got about, what, 100 million in its opening weekend? It's doing very well, is what I...
It's doing great, and I'll tell you, I'm assuming everybody on tonight has seen Unbreakable and Split. Is that
I
correct?
haven't seen Split.
Oh, you suck.
Well, that... We all know that, Rich. We all know that Mike sucks, in fact.
Let me talk to the real.
Hold on, let me find out. Drew, have you seen both movies?
Yeah, I've seen them both.
Okay, Rich. Drew says, little baby Drew face Poos Seidler says that he has seen both movies.
Oh, excellent, good. Well,
Yeah.
at least two of you have that, and maybe Adam has as well. But anyway,
Hold on.
Okay.
Adam, have you seen both movies?
I have not.
Which one have you seen? Either?
I've seen Unbreakable, but not Split.
Okay, you guys do have to go out and see Split. I think that's actually...
See, as a rational brain, what about an M. Night Shyamalan movie do you see and be like, oh, the last 8 that blew fucking dog, maybe this one's good? Like, come on, man. Stop giving him money, for fuck's sake.
Mike, if we all live,
So was the one where they went to see his grandparents too.
if we all
I
live
didn't
by
watch
that
that.
way of thinking, we would give up on most films being produced today by major directors.
Dude, I'm not even talking that he's the worst director of our generation.
What about
Wow.
you, Bold?
So, Mike, how do you feel about him, though?
I rank him with fucking Eli Roth, dude. He's fucking a one-trick pony.
That's because you haven't seen The House with a Clock in Its Walls yet. Move on, Rich.
What the fuck is that?
The latest Eli Roth movie is a kids movie, believe it or not. And I sat through it. So, okay. Anyway, let's go to this. Come on, Rich.
Unless you've been living in a cave, Glass is the third part of the we'll call it the Unbreakable trilogy, since it started with Unbreakable. For those who haven't seen Split, it was not really revealed until the post credits. Yep, I'm going to spoil it for you for not seeing this movie. Post credits revealed that we were now in the middle of a trilogy. So, Glass. As far as Glass goes, of course, the 3 main people are back. The James McAvoy, I believe is how you say it, who is the main, and of course,
he prefers Rich. He prefers McAvoyian. He prefers that. Yeah.
Well, I don't do what people prefer.
Okay.
So I'll refer to him as James.
Okay.
Anyway, he is back. Samuel L. Jackson, of course, Elijah Price / Mr. Glass is back, and Bruce Willis's character David Dunn is back. And what we're basically faced with is, it doesn't give an exact time after Split, but we are further ahead in some time has passed since the end of that. And essentially, it's the third act of this superhero story that started in Unbreakable. And a series of events leads us to our first confrontation of the superhero and the supervillain, which then lands them into a situation where we are faced with them being put into an institution, which you will see from the commercials, so I'm not ruining anything there. that also happens to has been housing Mr. Glass since Unbreakable. Um, Sarah Paulson plays a doctor who is there to analyze and work with them. And surprisingly, I was not annoyed by her character. Because of all her seasons on uh, American Horror Story, I've become kind of tired of her acting.
Yeah.
But this was actually a very fitting role for her and her skill set. I thought she did a nice job. So anyway, don't want to get into the details of what their time in the institution is like, or the state of mind or anything of that nature. But let's just say it's very interesting. Not predictable what goes on there, which is nice. I hate predictable films. And then we get to the last act of this movie, and we have the ultimate confrontation. It's now a supervillain team, essentially, against the superhero David Dunn, Bruce Willis's character. And it wraps up in such a way, again, he is the man. M. Night Shyamalan does his twists, and it kind of twists at the end, and it's a really cool twist. For those who see his movies for those reasons, I think you'll be satisfied, and you won't see it coming. Uh, and the supporting cast in this movie is good as well. Elijah, or Mr. Glass's mother's back. She plays a big role. David Dunn's son, who, if you remember, worshipped his father even before they figured out he was a superhero. He's back in an adult role, and there's a very interesting dynamic of what he and his father have done in the years since Unbreakable. And of course, the young lady who survived Split, I believe the character's name was Casey Cook. She's back as well, and all three of the supporting characters play a role to the superhero or the supervillain that they are linked with. So, and I thought it was actually well written and well done, but they didn't, the focus was still primarily on those three. And really, to talk much more would start giving away things about the film.
Okay.
All I can really say is I think it's well written, well acted, and I think he delivered a great story. It's about 2 hours, 12 minutes. The first hour and a half or so, really good, but the last 40 minutes I thought was dynamic.
Okay, well, it's time for the grading. So let's go into that. Give me just a second. Something's acting very oddly, and we're going to take care of that right now. There we go. Okay, what is your grade for the movie Glass?
One thing before I give the grade, I do have to say James McAvoy, his ability to play the role, as you remember from Split, of the different personalities.
Yeah.
He delivers once again. It's amazing the little nuances he brings to every personality, and that alone is worth seeing this movie.
Fantastic.
Now I'll give you a letter grade when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
I will give this an A+.
Wow.
What?
I'm
I don't
excited.
think I've seen one of those in a long time on this show.
It would be a disservice to this film and the whole trilogy not to give it that grade.
Wow. I'm impressed. All right. Well,
All of us who have our full set of chromosomes would respect this film and this trilogy.
fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
Made a movie where the trees were killing people, dude. All I have to say.
All right, let's move on because we have a lot, and I can't wait for Adam's review because I have also seen this movie this past week. Adam, what have you been watching?
So, I've watched Roar. It's a film that was released in Australia and Europe in 1981. It did not get a US release until 2015. It stars Tippi Hedren, Melanie Griffith, Noel Marshall, and his sons John and Jeff, I believe. Basically what it is, the message of the film's about wildlife conservation in Africa. It's a 2 hour film basically of lions, tigers, panthers, and elephants running wild in a house.
Wait, what?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's it.
Yeah.
I put up some of the pictures from the movie. Here's some of the crazy stuff. These cats were not trained. They were not even
They
tame
were,
in any way, shape, or form. And in a lot of the scenes, there will be 20, 25 of these cats pursuing the actors, which,
family, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they're all just family of this Noel Marshall. Tippi Hedren was hired, not hired, was married to Noel Marshall at the time. And
Yep.
there's a scene where Melanie Griffith is underneath a full size lion for, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, which
At
brings
least, yeah.
rise to the old adage. You know how some people say he was on that like cheese on a pizza? That's the other adage is he was on that like a lion on Melanie Griffith. It's the same thing.
It is, and it took
Cheese on a
11.
bagel.
It took 11 years to make the film.
4 years
It
just
was
principal photography.
yeah.
4 years of just principal.
The tagline is "No animals were harmed, but there were 70 cast and crew members injured." Noel Marshall had been to the hospital several times during filming, but he eventually got gangrene from some of his wounds. Tippi Hedren broke her leg and had a scalp injury. Melanie Griffith had her face mauled and had to have full facial reconstruction done. So the movie suffers, though, from not knowing whether it wants to be a film or a documentary because they're trying to play it off like they're this divorced family. Tippi Hedren and the kids are flying in to see their dad and all this shit, where I think they should have just done it as a straight documentary. But
I
um,
I think the bigger problem is it doesn't know if it wants to be a horror movie, an adventure movie, or a comedy.
right, that too.
Because they like the first, I really loved the first like 30, 40 minutes of it, because when the lions are attacking in the first wave, uh
Yeah,
they have
yeah,
appropriate
pretty.
music where it's like jungle drums, and it's really pretty tense. Later
Yeah,
on in the movie, they're playing like circus carnival music while this is going on. It's just as intense of footage, but because the music doesn't match, you're kind of like, okay, and it starts getting boring actually watching these cats almost kill people, and it kind of feels like a snuff film from time to time.
it does, and that's a comparison I was gonna make. Was it kind of wants to be like a Mondo Cane Faces of Death type film in certain scenes, that it just doesn't have that pulling power that those shock documentaries have. Um, and like you said, the first 30 minutes where like the committee comes and they're wanting to take back the land,
Right.
that's probably the best part of the film. From there, it's just like watching when animals attack on Fox or
Well,
whatever.
the weird thing is the beginning of the movie is kind of intense, and you're like, wow, and they're showing blood and that sort of thing. By the time you hit the halfway mark of the film, it feels like it's one of Disney's movies where the one guy would, those nature documentaries they did, and it's like, well, it looks like the bear got into the picnic basket this time.
Yeah,
It was like, what the hell just happened to this movie that had all this teeth, and all the teeth got pulled about halfway through, and arguably some of the most dangerous stuff happens near the end.
Right.
Uh,
And
uh,
yeah, like I think yeah, within the first hour and a half, the guy hiding in the ice box, and you see like five lions knock it over, and
yeah,
like you said, they're playing like circus music or whatever, and it
right.
just ruins that whole scene.
Yep.
So,
That that scene, I was actually sitting there and I'm going, what am I gonna see? Because I read about it before going in, and I think one of the sons actually got scalped. And
yeah,
if you
yep.
look online for some of the alternate movie posters for this film, and I picked one that I thought was pretty good, but there are pictures in black and white of some of these guys with their injuries from the movie, and it's shocking. In fact, the cinematographer, did you check out who the director of photography was on this?
I did not. I
Okay.
know Ted Nicolau that directed Terror Vision was one of the assistant editors on it.
Okay, the director of photography was Jan de Bont. He is the guy that directed the movie Speed.
Okay.
And I think he was director of photography on something like Die Hard or something like that. I think it was Die Hard. He's a very well known cinematographer, and he had gotten injured on the movie, was in the hospital for 3 weeks, came back and continued filming. Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think he got scalped and mauled. He got a couple of serious injuries.
Yeah.
And reading about it, I forget who it was that got attacked, but one of the lions bit his neck and missed the jugular by like half an inch. So it's I I'd like to say it's not for the faint of heart, but you don't see all of the injuries, so it plays out more cartoonish than it actually does.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know the backstory, you watch it and you think you're watching an episode of Gentle Ben or Grizzly Adams or something with trained animals, and you kind of go, oh, what's the big deal? The big deal is these things were not trained, and there's 30 of them in frame in any shot. It's just insane.
Now, why
It,
did you talk about why are they doing this? Like, what
Yeah,
is their
what the fuck? They just
well,
like, let's make a movie.
well,
Let's
what
put a
it,
bunch of cats in a room and make a movie of it?
what what it was, there's a whole blurb at the end of the movie, I guess. What made Noel Marshall and Tippi Hedren want to make this is they had went to Africa, saw a plantation house that was abandoned, and just wild lions lived there. So that kind of inspired it, and then there's a whole blurb post credits about like people killing animals for gain, shouldn't have exotic animals as house pets, and need to like conserve the wildlife in Africa. So it's kind of showing like, how I guess for lack of better words, majestic the creatures are, but also how violent they can be.
They also Rob and Tippy owned this ranch where it was shot, and it was a
Yep.
nature preserve for these cats. So they basically wanted to show it off to a certain extent. Now, most people, they have something in their backyard. They say, here, come and see my pool. With this, they made a $14 million home movie to
Yep.
show people about their house. So,
like? I don't have the most sane brain in the world, but to me that just sounds fucking like the worst fucking possible idea on the earth to do.
It was.
here's
It
the part that amazes me. It's a terrible
Like,
idea. Everybody knows it's a terrible idea, and they did it over 11 years. At no point did they go, this is a terrible fucking idea. Let's not do this. They just kept going.
yeah.
Like, why
Yeah,
didn't? How didn't they get killed? Like 11
By the
years is
grace
time.
of God, if you don't believe in
yeah.
God, this is a movie that might change your mind. It's
I doubt
unbelievable
it.
that nobody died. Unbelievable.
Well, back to that scene Tim was talking about, where the lioness has Melanie Griffith like pinned on the floor. You're just waiting for like the animal to take a bite out of her, because like you're like, is it playing? Is it attacking? But yeah, there were some shots there that could have been a lot worse than they actually were.
What
It's
what
amazing nobody died or
what
had any fatal injuries.
what screwed with me during that Melanie Griffith attack scene is they played no music whatsoever during that section, and
Right.
all you're hearing is that lion just kind of shoving her around like a rag doll.
Yeah. And you're seeing like Tippy Hedren pulling on the lion's tail trying to get it off of her, and that shit ain't gonna work.
Yeah, she's
It's
sitting there
completely
Like,
talking
insane.
to it
I'm
like a
not one to
dog or something.
Ringling Brothers or anything, but it's, yeah, it was pure insanity.
She's talking to this 400-pound lion, going, "Come on, honey, don't be sitting on Melanie. Don't kill her now." And you're sitting there and you're going, "Yeah, what the hell would you fucking do? You got no control. The only
It
thing
should
you could do is
all been
grab a
mauled
two
to
by
death.
four and knock it on the back of the head, and then you're the one that's gonna die." You know?
Shouldn't be in that situation. It's the dumbest idea in the fucking world.
Don't get exotic
It
pets,
is.
but we lived with
And,
lions for 11 years.
Right.
and
Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand the message.
well, I think I talked about this with Mike and Tim when we were in Chicago. It kind of reminds me of this incident that happened around Columbus, Ohio in 2011,
Oh,
where,
Zanesville, I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
Zanesville, where this guy had an exotic animal zoo type deal at his home. He had ended up killing himself and letting the animals free.
Yeah.
You know, like the police had to put down like 49 tigers, lions, bears, and
Oh my.
monkeys.
Dude, it
Yeah,
wasn't. It was. My uncle lives in that town, and they put out like a message that said like, if you have like a hunting license, just go for it. If you see some
yeah,
exotic animal, just put the fuck down. Like, don't
yeah,
even worry. So everybody just strapped up, dude, and fucking helped out and just start whacking zebras and shit or whatever.
You
yeah.
know, you
So
know,
like,
at the turn of the century in the Milwaukee County Zoo, for the rich beer barons, they would open up on the weekends and allow those guys to go hunting right in the zoo. They would have little safaris. I'm
Hey,
making that up. Only Drew bought that, but
It doesn't surprise me. Hey, you're rich, do whatever you want.
yeah, that's the world.
That's
So
pretty
like,
much how life works.
yeah,
yeah, so I can see why this would work as like a message of exotic animals shouldn't be pets, but overall, when you add circus music, it just really turns it into hokey when
yeah.
animals attack show.
I would tell people watch this movie all the way through the Melanie Griffith attack and then just turn it off because you pretty well
Yeah,
have seen everything at that point. You
yeah,
you saw all the good footage by that point. If you want to why and then what you could do, stop the tape, then you can bring the kids in because the rest of the movie is a children's movie.
yeah.
It's unbelievable.
That's right. Yeah.
The movie is crazy. All right, let's get to the grading on this one. Let's see. Here it comes. Okay,
Did
there's
we
our
learn
report
anything
card.
from Steve Irwin?
Hey, well, this predates Steve Irwin.
Yeah, this influenced Steve Irwin. Uh,
I don't know. It
Um,
might have.
I I'd have to give it a C minus just because one, it's too long. 2 hours is just way too long for it, and it suffers from not knowing what type of film it wants to be.
So is it just 2 hours of waiting to see if maybe a cat kills somebody?
Oh,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what though? It
pretty
isn't
much.
waiting. It isn't waiting. There's an attack every couple of seconds going on. They're just not successful.
They're wild
Yeah.
lions
Yeah.
for fuck.
It
What do you
is.
mean they're not
Yeah,
successful? Are the cats just
there's-
awful at their job?
It is
There's one scene
nonstop.
where a tiger is holding a guy underwater, like trying to drown him within the first half hour of the film.
I feel like there's no trying with animals like that. If they want you dead, you're dead.
Yep.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
this like the slow lion house or something?
This is the special education lion rescue.
You know? Like, I
You
was
know,
thinking, like,
They-
11 years, I thought they would learn their movements.
How
And
do I
shit.
use my bites?
You know?
You know, the more we talk about, the more I think Adam called it exact. C- is perfect on this movie. If it would have picked a path and been either the Disney movie or would have been a horror movie, I would have went up almost a full letter grade. But
Yeah,
because it
even
keeps
a-
flopping between them, you don't know what to do with
Yeah.
it. So, all right, we got to keep moving. We got a lot on tonight's show. We are now going to little baby Drew Face. Poos Seidler, what have you been watching? Little baby Drew Face. Poos Seidler,
hey.
what have you been watching?
Hey Tim, this won't be long because it is actually a short film. It's only 11 minutes long. I saw it on Shudder. It's called "He Took His Skin Off for Me." Obviously, the title of the film kind of caught my attention. It sounds like one of these kind of art healthy films, horror art healthy films that I usually like.
Yep.
I did not know that it was a short before I watched it, so I was really surprised by it ending 10 minutes in. So I figured, we don't do shorts very often on here, if ever. So I'll give it a shot. I'm not going to just skip over it. Director is Ben Aston. Actors and actresses all well acted for the 11 minutes that it was there, but nobody you've probably ever heard of before. The movie basically just begins as someone taking off their skin as if it were just dirty clothes. So you have to suspend your disbelief for that. But I mean, really, the whole thing is, in my opinion, was kind of an analogy for the evolution of a relationship with your significant other, and how things that they might do for you in the beginning you can put up with, but as it kind of goes on, it's more grinding, and just the kind of the friction that can happen during a long-term relationship with somebody. Basically, him taking his skin off, I believe, is a metaphor for being out of the honeymoon phase of a relationship. And for the first couple of days, his girlfriend didn't mind having to clean blood off of the coffee maker because he has no skin left and no, all the blood vessels are leaking out everywhere. So it's very literal in the sense of he has no skin, and as far as the way the film puts it out to be. So there's bloody footprints, and after they have sex, there's blood all over them, and the sheets have blood all over them, and it just kind of is very much a life in the day of a couple who one of them has no skin.
Okay, now I read some of the reviews on this one, and one of the reviewers said, if you like Clive Barker's Nightbreed, you'll love He Took His Skin Off for Me. Now, I know you're the biggest Clive Barker apologist I know.
I don't think there's any need to apologize for anything he's ever done, to be honest with you, but okay.
Okay, but you like his stuff.
I
Is
do.
that an accurate statement?
I could definitely see this being inspired by a Clive Barker story,
Okay.
for sure. But it really kind of is the culmination of the apex of the action if you call it, of the film was when they meet their old friends. From before when he had skin, I guess is what we'll call it.
Okay. All right.
And they're just having dinner, and she can kind of tell that he's dodging the questions they're asking about what's it like without having skin, and she sees him kind of in the closet looking at his old skin, which is hanging up like a wedding dress almost. And you can tell he kind of wishes he didn't do it. How he wished he made a different decision. And then it just kind of ends pretty abruptly.
Okay, kind of like this review.
Yeah. Completely on purpose.
All right. Oops, I still got the old score up there. What is your score for this monster epic of a film?
I mean, it's only 11 minutes long.
Okay.
Unless you really sit down and try to analyze it, there's really nothing to it. It's just a couple doing couple things, except one person has no skin. And the literal repercussions of not having skin. Honestly, I would never watch it again. I probably would not recommend it to anyone. The acting is good. The special effects are really good. But as far as the writing, it's a D.
A D, as in delightful Andrew. There you go.
And D's nuts, bitch.
Okay, and Rich, just so you're aware, Drew just reviewed an 11-minute movie in just under 8 minutes. So
well, thank you for the update. I was wondering how it's taking that long.
There you go. All right, so
There's no way that took me 8 minutes.
It did. I was timing because I thought it would be funny. All right, let's go now to the coach, Michael Exler. What have you been watching?
So I checked out a film from 2016 that I guess is an independent film, I guess call it. I know Rich was... What? You mean the Star Wars movie?
Yeah, you know what's interesting?
That small independent film,
What's interesting, Mike, is on IMDb it says it's 2016. On Amazon it says 2018.
That's because it finally got distribution in 2018.
That's what I think. That's where that came from too.
Oh, that's a fact, Jack.
Okay.
What you know about that?
So, back.
I think at Horror Realm, Rich, there was a table that was of the barn. Like, I don't think they had it for sale yet at that point.
I remember it.
It was not for sale yet. They had the characters dressed up walking around the convention.
Yeah, like with lollipops and shit.
Yeah.
That's right. So I finally got to watch it and check out some local folk making a little movie. So it's competently shot. It looks decent for an independent film. I will say that. It has a few celebrities.
Celebrities question mark?
Yeah, in it.
Well, I did see Ari was in one of the promo photos. I went, "Oh, this will be an interesting review." Is all I could think when I saw that.
He's Dr. Rock on Rock Shock something like that.
Okay.
So Ari Lehman is in the film for sure, and so is Linnea Quigley. So
she's still alive? I thought she died.
No, she's still with us. God bless. So those two are in it. Those are your star power. Ari, they're both in it for just little cameos. They're not.
They're star power. A kid who was 8 in a movie in 1981.
But Linnea's done a lot of stuff, but she was not in it very much either. The opening score and parts throughout had a definite carbon.
Hold on. Let's be fair. If you're gonna have Linnea Quigley on your set, that's very expensive to have her like for the whole day. I think she wants 2 cheese sandwiches, 2 of them.
Weren't they just trying to save her house that was going to be condemned or something like that?
Yes, they were. The roof fell in.
Well, I mean, never mind. You could always just raise the roof.
Raise the roof. What? Oh, what was I saying? Oh, so the score at the beginning had a very Carpenterinian feel.
Movie on network. Somebody's smart and awesome.
Rich,
And I'm
just so
also-
you know, little baby Drew face Poos Poos Seiler is making inappropriate comments as the report goes on. Just so
That's
you know.
all he's good for.
Sorry, Mike. I'll stop.
It's all right. I have time.
I don't want to have to hear Tim's fucking voice at the end of the show. So
That's
I'm gonna
right.
drag this on a little bit.
I gotta take a drink of water. I'm sorry.
It's not water.
It's piss.
I don't drink booze.
You don't drink, but you do drink piss. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm like R. Kelly's son. So,
Oh shit!
Wow.
so
And I swear.
Oh no, dude. Is that some all for one right there? Anyway, sorry, Mike.
Go.
So it's funny. I wrote notes down in my phone about some of this as I was watching it. I thought they did an excellent job of the '80s feel. I thought the atmosphere was on point.
So
for
you-
the,
you worked in
Yeah.
Carpenterinian and atmosphere. I'm so proud of you. Nice
I know.
job. Nice job.
No, now, this is not a film that I think could have been in a cinema house. I think it definitely could have.
No!
I think it definitely
You
could have
right
got.
the movie house. You call it cinema house. What a piece of shit!
It's part of his film collection.
Fuck you.
Mike, you
Yes,
do know
sir.
that the cinema house that I used to be affiliated with, we premiered this film.
Did you really? That's right. You told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that I wrote down here in like all capital letters, it's just way too long. And then I realized it's only 88 minutes long. But for some reason, to me, it just felt way too fucking long.
I think your
Like, by-
ADD is getting worse with age.
Maybe
Like,
you
by
should
the
try that
time-
11-minute film that Drew did.
Like by the time the end came, I was like, "Holy fuck! You killed the other two, and now the I guess the main ghost of Halloween or whatever
What?
is gonna take you for fucking ever to kill." And oh god, it just felt like fucking 9 hours of watching this kid try to do something. And I thought it was really weird. Like, I love Halloween as much as the next guy, but this kid was like 5 years old about it, man. Like I don't know, having all
He
the
was
rules.
5 years old about it. Like he had to go with his parents and stuff. I don't understand.
He had to go out to get candy. He was graduating high school, so he had to go out and get candy because something about the candy was touched by the fucking Halloween ghost or some shit, and it tasted better. Because like,
Well,
like
I want nothing to do with this movie ever. That's true.
Mike,
You
he
just
said that. I
You
was
just
like,
made it 100% sure I'll never watch this.
I was like, what the fuck does that
Mike.
mean? Yes, sir.
it actually felt a little long to me, and I have a theory on why. Because I don't find movies. I like slow movies sometimes, but I think we're so conditioned to hate the Yinzer accent, and there was just enough of it in a couple of the actors' tone that I think it just grated on you and felt long, and you didn't even realize it.
I didn't catch on the accent. Maybe I did subconsciously. I don't know.
I'm telling you,
I
it's there.
I just felt like if they would have cut like 30 minutes off that fucking thing and got to the fucking point, man, like the beginning of it just seems so haphazard. Like, here's the story of this essentially creepy ass dude that has a really weird vibe about Halloween and his buddy doing some weird shit, and then I don't know, dude. they summon these things from a barn because they knocked on a door, and they kill the first two. They call these three things back, and one is this skeleton face, I guess, and one is a pumpkin face, and one is some fucking else. I don't know.
What?
Just
One
kidding.
was a minor.
Mike, something you
He's
said.
a minor.
Something you said in this review, I just came up with a great idea. Copyright East Coast Horror Group. Are you ready for this idea? Here
I'm
we
ready.
go. We say this on a lot of shows where we're like, If they would have cut 30 minutes out of it, they would have cut 40 minutes. It'd be better. That's why I always talk about it could use some time on the editing bay. Here's what we do. We get a bunch of these movies, right? And we cut them down to 1 hour. And then it's the new Netflix show. It'd be like an anthology series. It would be independent movies improved. And just like 50-minute cuts of these movies. Because I think a lot of them only have about 50 minutes of good stuff in it. I think this is a $1 million idea.
A perfect candidate for that. It just was far too long. And by the end of it, I just didn't give a fuck at all. I don't know. Adam and Rich, I know you guys saw it. I don't know what your thoughts were.
You guys both watched this piece of shit?
Yeah, like, I've seen it a few times. I agree. It does.
What? Wait, hold it. What? A few times?
Yeah, a few times.
Why?
Well, I think.
No, he's a sadist.
Well, I think Justin did a good job with it. He originally wrote the screenplay when he is like 9 years old. So that's why it seems a little hokey at times.
That's a good candidate for a major motion picture, then, if you read it when you were 9. Definitely save that one.
For me, I like the nostalgia of it. Like, he captured the 80s feel very well without being a total ripoff. I agree with Mike. If you cut like 20, 30 minutes out of it, I think it'd make it a whole different film. Like, I think where they could have caught some of that was like the village party scene and just some of the filler stuff that was thrown in that wasn't really needed or didn't really add to the story.
No, I thought the lead up to kill the last fucking monster was ridiculous. I just was like, come on, just fucking do it.
Now, in all fairness, they had to probably reach a certain minute length to get distribution as a feature film.
This is where my idea is so brilliant. Copyright East Coast Horror Group. I think this is just a winner in 100 different ways. I know I felt that way when I saw that Puppet Holocaust movie or whatever it was. I was like, this would have been amusing over 40 minutes, but watching an entire movie like this was a little too long.
Who named their movie a Puppet Holocaust?
I bet Adam's seen it 4 fucking times, though.
What was it? It was Puppet... It was Puppet Holocaust or something. It was basically a slasher movie with all like Muppets.
Puppet Master?
No. Now you got me looking for the goddamn
Meet the
thing.
Feebles.
No, it wasn't. Meet the Feebles is actually
I was
good.
gonna say it's not Meet the Feebles. That's actually good.
Puppet Slaughter?
Dolls?
No.
Are we just yelling
I'm actually
out in
looking
the
this
Avatar.
Why am I looking for this damn thing?
Annabelle.
Amityville, the clock one.
I think I reviewed it back when we were
Child's
Midnight
Play
Spook
3.
Show. It was like 100 million years ago.
The Great Muppet Caper.
No. And it wasn't the Happy Time Murders, though. That was horrible.
Armageddon.
Okay, anyway, let's get to the
Dark
grades.
Crystal.
Let's get to the grade. All right, what have you got for a grade on this one, Mike?
Willow.
I mean, I thought it was a really good first effort. I know they're making a second one. They left it kind of wide open for a second one, of course. So there will be a second one. Hopefully, he takes it a little bit more, like some of the hokiness out of it, and keeps it a little cleaner, tighter cut from the editing bay. But I'm going to give it a C. I'm gonna give it
A C?
What the fuck are you talking about, Mike? Now you realize somebody knows him, so you won't tell what you really think.
No, I thought it was a really good first effort. Like, to me, the story just, I don't know. It could have been laid out a little different. Maybe it's just my preference of how I would have saw the story. But, I mean, it was a good first effort. The dude's making movies, so that's cool. So I give him a C. Like me, I will never watch it again, and I'm sure as hell not going to watch the sequel. But I wish him the best of luck.
All right. Well, that was Mike
Oh,
with the movie The
I-
Barn Door. So that okay.
Oh, the barn, isn't it?
No,
The
it's
Barn.
Barn Door, ain't it?
That was the barn.
I thought you said it left it open. Okay. So
Okay.
I have my
Yeah.
movie.
Go drink a can of bleach for fuck's sake.
It comes in cans.
Does it?
Comes in
We
your
get in
can.
jugs over here.
Comes in your can.
Yeah. Okay.
For
So-
easy suicide.
I saw a movie called Late Phases, and then it had a subtitle of the Night of the Lone Wolf. So I've kind of decided this year that the movies that I'm going to review on this show primarily are going to be monster movies or animals run amok films. And when Adam picked Roar, which was my first pick, I was like, well, I got plenty of these sitting around. And I found this one. It is on Amazon Prime for free if you have Prime. And I'll actually recommend it. I'll say that right at the front. What is this movie? This is a werewolf movie. Okay, everybody? I'm not hiding it. It's a werewolf movie. It stars Lance Guest, who is probably best known as the Brody Kid from Jaws 4: The Revenge. You got Ethan Embry in it, who did a lot of comedies in the 80s. You have Tina Louise. That's right, Ginger from, you would get behind her, Ginger from Gilligan's Island, and Tom Noonan, who's been in any number of films, probably best known to our audience from Manhunter. He was in Manhunter. The story is a blind vet of the Vietnam War moves into a retirement community.
How did he get in the military if he's blind? That stuff seems dangerous.
Well, very good comment, Drew, for once. He becomes blind because of the war.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But he comes
I was
back
gonna
from
say,
the
they're
war.
really scraping the barrel for some,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Okay. Well, he joins the retirement community with
You can't just
his...
give blind people guns, you know?
Okay.
You can.
I'm getting a lot of feedback. I'm having a hard time. Something's going nuts there. Anyway, he moves into the retirement community with his seeing eye dog Shadow, and the very first night he's there, a werewolf attacks on the very first night and kills his seeing eye dog. So that is a spoiler, folks, but it happens in like the first 10 minutes.
Damn it.
Then now Nick DeMizzi, and you see some photos of him, you probably would have recognized him as a young guy. He played like in every movie when they needed a New York hood that had a really big New York accent, they would always hire this guy. He was a character actor. And let me tell you, this movie kind of reminds me of like Scented a Woman or something like that, where a guy that's been acting and doesn't get any acclaim. Well, Scent of a Woman, Al Pacino was getting plenty of acclaim, but he didn't get his Oscar until Scent of a Woman. In this movie, this guy has gotten no real love for forever. He does this film and he got a lot of talk, a lot of great reviews. And that's because he carries this movie through about 2/3 of it. He does a great job with this character that I can only describe as kind of like Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino. He's kind of like this old guy that's super tough and just pissed off at the world because, you know, he's blind. And that second act in the movie between basically werewolf attacks is pretty slow because it's kind of a mystery and you're trying to figure out, okay, who is the werewolf and all this stuff. Because the first night, it's a full moon, and then he has a full month to prepare for the next full moon when he expects the werewolf to come back. So it's kind of slow, but because he's so good and he's just, a quiet strength to his character, that you really aren't that scared for him against a werewolf. You're kind of like, that werewolf might be in trouble when he comes up against this guy. Now, whenever you have a werewolf movie, a big part of it is how were the effects. I would say the effects for a movie that I don't think was a huge budget, the effects were really pretty darn good. It doesn't go the CGI morph route, which would have been a cheap way. They didn't go the Rick Baker standard with all the bubbling skin and that sort of thing. What they did, and this is a mild spoiler, but what the hell. What they did is they kind of went back to some of the medieval stories of werewolfism, which is that they actually wear the wolf skin on the inside of their skin, and they just rip off their skin, and there's the werewolf. That's what they do, and it looks like it was all practical. It looked really good, and the designs of the werewolves themselves, which I had photos, and I was going to put them in the slideshow. I decided not to put them in there because I think they're pretty decent, but you don't get to see them until the end really well. And I think it's worth the wait. I think it's worth seeing. I do want to really tell people to go see this one. And since it's free, if you got Prime, it's really easy. I'm guessing it's on Shudder. I'm guessing it's on, the other platforms as well. Now, the climax of the film reminds me a lot of the violent conclusion to Straw Dogs. So if you like the violence of Straw Dogs, the original Dustin Hoffman one, this might be the movie for you, because for that whole month he has to prepare, he's preparing for that night. Even though you're watching him make the preparations, you don't really know what he all has in store. And it turns out to be a lot of fun. Totally worth catching while it's on Prime. So it's time for me to give the grade, and I think you can tell I enjoyed it. The problem is that middle section is a little slow. Rich is probably, of you guys, Rich is probably most open to this type of film because it is a tad slow. I am going to give it a B, but nice. It is worth seeing just for this Nick DeMisi. His acting in the film is awesome. He does a really good job and should be commended for the film. So that's it for
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure, go ahead.
This film brings up something that bothers me in a lot of movies now. Is anybody else sick of them taking deaf or blind or crippled people and making them seem like they can actually survive as capable human beings?
Yeah.
You know what I like? Me running away from that question as fast as I can.
That is the most sensitive thing that's come out of your mouth in a long time, and I'm including Drew's penis.
Ooh, God.
So, yeah.
You ain't wrong.
So I'm the only guy who's feeling this way about these movies when they do this?
They are capable to do anything that anybody else could do, sir.
Book me.
Did you not see Hush?
I did, and I had the same feeling, like, nope.
I will say he's a very, very capable blind guy. But I think they earn it because they kind of show him doing stuff when he's not being attacked. Part of my problem with Hush is she looks like she's completely harmless to begin the movie, and she turns into a badass as soon as she's being attacked. This movie, this guy is a badass, and they kind of explain, because he was a Marine or something, he knows how to clean a gun and put it together blindfolded. Well, now he is blind. He's just fine. He can do this.
No folded needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
No, tell me again.
No folded needed, know what I mean?
No.
Oh, sorry to
Yeah,
stop your conclusion of the show with that question, but it was bothering me.
No, I think Rich. I think you'll really like it. I think Adam would like it. Drew, I think it'd be too slow for, and Mike, it's not bloody and disgusting and intense enough. I don't know that you would like it. But
oh, it's one of my favorite werewolf
oh,
films.
you have seen it. Okay.
Yeah, I have.
Would you agree though? Like the middle is a little saggy. It
I
just
think it is, but I think it's kind of good to ease up on tension for the final act. Like, it kind of lulls you into, okay, everything's slow down and calm, and then that third act just
yeah.
kicks in.
Once the transformation scene happens, it is like bedlam from there on out. I like it a lot. I'm still a big purporter of Dog Soldiers as one of my favorite
Yeah.
werewolf movies. But this one, you know what's funny? After I watched it, I went, oh, that was a little slow. And the longer it's been since I've seen it, the more I like the movie. Because I originally wrote C plus when I took my notes. I changed it to B minus before the show, and as I was doing a review, I'm like, nah, it's a straight B. I like it. So yeah, I tell people go try it out. Particularly, it's absolutely free if you got Prime. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. All right. If you are interested in our show, first of all, that's weird. But you can check out all of our shows on eastcoasthorrorgroup.com, which you can find at the website. That's not it. Come on. I pressed the button and it's supposed to come up and
Es el bouton.
Shut up.
not sure. Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. Nope, that's Tracy's. Let's try this one. Let's try turning that off. Yeah, nothing is working tonight. That's awesome. Turn that on. That's Buck Short. There we go. Hey, hey. So, and Buck Short's still showing. There we go. Now, I see that Adam's been busy again. We have the last Dead On movie reviews that Rich was on. And we have a bunch more reviews. Anything new coming up that we should be looking forward to, Mike?
Yeah, lots of panels are coming up from Days of the Dead Chicago of last year, putting the final touches on a bunch of those. So we'll be putting those out very shortly for your enjoyment.
Oh, and Mike, don't forget we'll be drowning in the river for charity soon.
February 23rd at Heinz Field. If you're in Pittsburgh, come and watch Otherworldly Culture Radio.
Wow. And that's coming back, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. So people should be
When's
watching
that
the
coming
feed
back?
for that.
I don't know. I just got the mixer. So we have to figure
Our
out what we're-
rebirth will be from the river, and a show will follow shortly after.
You should do one while in the river. That's
Oh,
my idea.
don't worry, there's ideas.
All right.
You can
And
join our team.
I would never jump in a cold river for anybody. I don't care if you're dying.
This is for the Special Olympics.
Well,
I
let's
hope
see what
Drew's-
that's what we call it.
I hope Drew's dog jumps in with us and he has to save him.
I hope that you die in there.
oh my God. Okay. And of course, remember you can also buy your Fast Custom shirt of East Coast Horror Group at fastcustomshirts.com. All right. So, Adam and Rich, anything you want to plug before we end the show?
No.
No, I'm good.
I thought I did pretty good at the plugging, so I'm glad I got all that. Let's see what
Just say
what
plugging.
holidays coming up. We wish you all a great President's Day and Valentine's Day. The next show is coming, I don't know, in a little bit. So watch Facebook for those dates, or of course check out our live page, and we have it listed there. But I'm I'm too busy clicking other buttons to check it right now. So, hang in there, Pumpkin, until our next show. And remember, as John Carpenter once said in his Carpenterian voice, he said, horror is a reaction. It's not a genre.
On your face.
What's that mean, Mike?
Coast Horror Group. East Coast Horror Group.
I think Tim turned the music up so I didn't answer.
Yeah, you could try dancing. That would help.
What?
I think if we could get, because we already have East Coast Horror Group sings the hits. I think it would help to have a dancing segment.
I'll do the dancing segments.
Would you?
Do the truffle shuffle.
Oh God.
I will be so naked for these dancing segments.
Why would we want to see you naked?
And there Mike would be singing for him to
Tell me
dance.
when
with.
you're done so I can.
Box. Put it in your butt box.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for joining us.